Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter. Not today, Fleury.
Brett Nab.
I'm in no mood today for this nonsense today. Hey, my name's Rob Mineault, and I've already screwed up the intro. Thank you very much. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk with advocates and members of the disability community to educate and inspire better conversation about disability. Hey, my name is Rob Mineault, and joining me today, the lovely, the talented Mr. Ryan Fleury.
I was either going to change your name to Mr. Long-Winded or Droopy Dog. I'm not sure which is more appropriate.
Listen,
this morning.
don't even start with me today. I was trying to be nice to you, and now
I'm a jerk, I know.
Hey, look who else it is. It's my good buddy, Mr. Steve Barclay.
Today, everything is backwards. I am Yelcrab Nevitz.
Nice.
Excellent. I don't even know what that means. I'm telling you that my head is foggy today. So you guys are going to have to do the heavy lifting of the show. I'm just warning you.
Hell no.
3 days. I did 3 days with a head cold and under the influence of Tylenol, cold, and flu.
Woohoo, antihistamines for the win.
Yeah, it's great. Those things are great, I tell you.
It'll be the best show ever.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Long pregnant pauses where I contemplate the mechanics of a microwave oven, which actually happened. And I just realized I was just one of these things. I was just like, I have no idea how a microwave works. I have no idea. It's like sorcery. You just put this thing in and it buzzes and then your food is hot. I don't know how that works. Like, what happens if all the microwave people die off? We're not going to be able to build new microwaves. Like, that's just going to be lost technology. I don't think anybody knows how a microwave works.
Are you saying there's a microwave people genocide going on right now?
I hope not. I hope not for our sake, because, it'd be a shame to lose that technology, because it's great. I mean, like I say, I don't think enough time is spent on the true majesty and incredibleness of a microwave oven. You buy for $30 and throw it in your kitchen, and you just take it for granted. So,
but we have ChatGPT and others now, so we're good. They'll save mankind.
I could just ask ChatGPT to explain it to me like I'm 5. So, actually, I better downgrade that. I better get 3, maybe 3. Anyways, enough about me and my head. Let's get busy, shall we?
Let's do it.
So, hey, Ryan.
Yeah, Rob.
Tell the fine folks at home just what the heck we're doing today.
Well, today's topic is celebrating the 30th anniversary this year of Jaws, the screen reader we all know and love and has changed our lives for the better. We are joined by 2 guests from Vispero this morning, Rachel Buchanan and Elizabeth Whitaker. Friend, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. We're all in.
Yeah, excellent. We're happy to have you guys. Maybe just to get us started, why don't you guys each tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you kind of got involved with Vispero.
Okay, so my name is Rachel Buchanan, and I am the Director of User Education and Technical Support at Vispero, and I started in 2018 with this company, and before that, I was a rehabilitation teacher and mostly worked with nonprofits and adults who are losing their vision.
And I'm Elizabeth Whitaker, and I am the manager of the User Education and Outreach team. I also started in 2018, just a little bit after Rachel, and my background is very similar. I worked in vocational rehabilitation for many years before that, working with people who experienced vision loss, adults. So it's just been a great transition to get to do this on a much larger scale and work with people from all over the world.
And so were either of you familiar with JAWS for Windows before you entered the Vispero universe?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could say that. I've been using it. I don't want to give away my age too much, but let's just say the 1900s were involved. Let's Let's leave it at that.
I've been using it since I was 5.
Wow.
We're
5?
just gonna go with that.
Yeah, we were very familiar. I used it through all my college years. Elementary school is, I mean, no, I think I started in the very beginning of middle school. So Jaws had already been a huge part of my life and enabled me to like seek an education, et cetera, et cetera. So I was already a Jaws user.
Yeah, me too. I had been using it since college, and it really, just made that transition from college to employment, so much easier. And then, of course, I went on to teach other people how to use it. So being able to work for the company who created it was just incredible. So it's a great job.
And my own personal story is I started with JAWS in 1995, so I go back a little ways as well.
And I have been supporting JAWS since version 1. Rob?
I'm not a Jaws user, but I love the movie. And there's a question. That's a question. Do you ever people ever mistake the movie for you ever get tired of shark jokes?
Oh yeah.
People
It's,
do. People do make them.
people do mistake it. Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I
or they
know.
ask, is that related to the movie? And I have to explain, no, but good
Kind of.
association.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so being that we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of JAWS this year, what are some events that Vispero have been putting out, talking about? I know at CSUN there was an announcement as well. Do you want to share some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been planning for a very long time to celebrate this 30th anniversary celebration. And we decided to do our kickoff at CSUN because we were going to be in person with so many people. And we put together a timeline memorial wall that people could go through and see all the different things that had happened in the last 30 years. And in addition, we did a video that corresponded so you could like scan the QR code and get listen to the video and it was had all the details in there. And we also launched a special club for people who use our software. Like we're all part of a club anyway, but this just makes it official. This is like the official club. Um, and it's called the Insert J Club, and it's just more behind the scenes opportunities and exclusive benefits. And within the first week, we were planning a drawing. We were giving away multiple packages of IRA minutes. So we already have, close to 1,500 members in the club. And then in addition, we've been doing a lot of other special events. So we did some in April. We've been sending out our webinar notes to Insert J Club members early, which outlines like every single task we're going to go over and give step-by-step instructions. And then we also did a live Q&A in April, which was just a chance for people to get on the mic with us on a Zoom call and ask us whatever they wanted to regarding training. And that was really interesting. And it turned out to be a great session because everyone in the comments was helping everyone else. So those are just a couple of things we've done. We have a lot more planned. So maybe Liz can talk about some of the things we have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. We did, and we also did the intro where people got to tell their stories of how they were impacted. We're going to be doing more of that to celebrate the 30th anniversary. As Rachel said, we have the Q&A, which we're going to continue. We've got one coming up next week, in fact. So we just have a lot of things planned. We have special training planned, and we're going to be doing that once a month. And so we just have a lot of new events that are going to be coming up as the year goes on.
Now, I believe that video, isn't that also available on the YouTube channel currently?
It is. It's available on our Freedom Scientific Training YouTube. So that's the channel name, Freedom Scientific Training. Same as our training podcast.
Elizabeth, where do you guys come up with the amount of training topics that you guys cover? Because you guys have been doing this for quite some time now, and there's been updated training. So that could be like a part 1 to Outlook, part 2 the new Outlook. How do you come up with all these topics?
Well, a lot of the topics that we choose, in fact, most of them are as a direct result of user feedback. And so we try to keep our finger on the pulse of what people are doing, what they need to know, what they're doing in their jobs and at school and at home. And so that's where most of our topics come from. And so we run surveys. We will use the polling feature in Zoom during webinars. We encourage people to write in and tell us what they want, and they do. And so that helps us to plan not only the next webinar, for example, on Outlook or OneDrive or whatever it may be, Google Workspace, but also what topics we're going to cover because people are very specific about that, and that really helps us know what they want and what they need.
So let's talk a little bit about one of the newer features in JAWS, and that's the FS Companion. Can you tell us what that is?
Absolutely. FS Companion is our new AI tool for learning JAWS and Zoom text, plus other applications like Microsoft Office, Google Workspace, how to surf the web. So you can literally go to fscompanion.ai, or if you are running JAWS or Zoom Text 2025, you can open it right from the application. So for example, with JAWS, you can press insert or caps lock space followed by F1, and it opens up and you can just ask it questions. And the great thing about FS Companion is that it knows, for example, if I open it from JAWS, it knows that I'm using JAWS. So I don't even have to type, how do I create a signature in Outlook with JAWS? I can just say, how do I create a signature in Outlook? And what it's going to give back to you is step-by-step instructions complete with keyboard commands. So whereas when you search for something on the internet, you will probably find, you may find those keyboard commands, but you may have to dig for them because there are a lot of visual instructions, things you need to click on, maybe the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, things like that. So what this does is it gives you the actual steps, tells you the keyboard commands, and tells you what everything is. And then you can just have a conversation, you can ask it further questions, and then you can copy and paste that information. So it's just a great learning tool, whether you're just beginning to learn JAWS or Zoom text, or whether you're a seasoned user. It really doesn't matter. You get a lot from FS Companion.
Wow.
Does FS Companion give you results related to everything in JAWS? So let's say place markers and setting center and all that other extra stuff?
It sure does.
It does.
And we're constantly feeding it information. So it's becoming even more robust as time goes on, and it will continue, of course, to evolve.
Yeah, and I saw the other day when the latest May release for JAWS came out, there's a new experimental feature called AI Text Grabber. Is that correct?
Yeah, we do have a new AI labeler that is, its purpose is to label elements that aren't properly labeled. It's going to describe, well, let me start that over. We do have a new AI labeler, and what it does is when you have an element in an application or web page that is not clearly labeled, you can get an AI description of that element.
And it works really well. I was on a website yesterday, actually, and there was button 1, button 2, button 3, button 4, and so on.
Right.
And so I did the insert G, and it said, insert text or insert audio or whatever the text it could grab from that button was. So it was very, very useful.
Right. Yeah. So it does just go out and grab that text, and it'll give you those descriptions. And absolutely, it's perfect for situations like what you're talking about, where you just have buttons or graphics or things that you have no idea what they are because they're not labeled.
Is there a way that when JAWS announces that label, you could capture that and actually encode that into the JAWS graphics labeler or something similar so that it remembers that label?
Not at this time, but that is a great idea for an enhancement. And we're going to continue enhancing this feature so that you can do more things with it.
Right.
That's a great idea. I like that.
Gotta love AI.
Yeah.
On the podcast here, we've been talking a lot about AI recently, and it just over the excitement of what this might mean for existing assistive technology, especially. Is there a lot of excitement around AI in Vispero right now? Because I imagine it is a bit of a game changer when it comes to training, because that's the thing about JAWS is that it's so versatile. It can be as powerful as you need it to be, but sort of the downside is that there's a lot of moving parts, and there is a lot of training. You can have basic training, you can have intermediate training, advanced training for this one piece of software. So is there a lot of sort of excitement around what the new AI technologies sort of mean for what you guys can be using it for?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Like there's not a way I could kind of impress enough upon you that AI has infiltrated every aspect of our jobs. Wouldn't you say, Liz?
Absolutely. We started, with Picture Smart AI last year and, FS Companion and all these background OCR features and then this new text grabber feature. So
And
we're
then
just
there's
getting
a
started.
few others that I think will be out by 26. In fact, this summer at the convention, last year we started this thing where we did a JAWS AI training suite so people could come in person, both conventions, get their hands on everything and test out some new features. So we tested out FS Companion last year before it was released there. And we're going to do the same thing this year. We're going to have certain features available for people to play with before they're released. But yeah, AI is all the talk of the town.
Yeah.
Can we
And
use AI to do some scripting for ourselves instead of having to hire a scriptwriter?
you could try.
You can try.
You could try. We've got the script manual you can download.
You can definitely work on. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's possible if you fiddle with it long enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, get the right questions. Yeah.
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 I wanted to comment too on the text grabber feature, the question that you asked about, labeling that element. You could, if you know what that button or that graphic is, what that element is, you could use your prompt create or your
Right.
labeler or your creator there to go in and label that.
Right. Okay.
We've been looking into the impact of AI on our community, actually. We've been trying to dig into AFB's done some great research. There's a lot of different organizations who have looked into the impact on AI employment, both in from a negative side and a positive side. So obviously everyone's heard like the scary talk, oh, AI is going to take everyone's jobs, and that's not quite true, but it does have an impact. So even though that word is kind of nebulous, it basically just means that people's jobs are going to change, and because of AI, in good ways and bad ways. And I think that it's a big part. I think our community is going to have to embrace that to benefit from it, if that makes sense.
How do you think AI may affect Braille and Braille technology?
Interesting question.
I haven't thought about that, and I'm, yeah.
I mean, Braille literacy is a fight already. Those of us who advocate for Braille and are passionate about it, we try to advocate it every chance we get because there's already been so many people saying, oh, Braille doesn't have a place here, XYZ, it's obsolete, which is just not true. And I haven't thought about it specifically for AI, but that's
Maybe
a good question.
features. Maybe it could impact some of the features or some of the way that displays are manufactured. Maybe some of the features and the form factors and just being able to do some very creative things with Braille or some of the screen reader features even that are added for using Braille.
Well, that's what I was thinking about because some of them are actual note takers now that have wireless built in, right? So if they have a little
Right.
bit of processing power, you may have to go out to the cloud, of course, because I don't think there's going to be enough onboard processing power. But, what can AI bring to Braille note taking?
Yeah, maybe things like formatting, how to format your documents or how to how to locate certain commands if you don't know a command. I don't know. There are lots of ways I would think it could impact. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's such a fascinating topic. Again, we've been sort of bombarding our audience with AI talk for weeks and probably months now. But I really do feel like it can be a game changer in the sense of it kind of, if it's able to level the playing field accessibility wise, I think that's very exciting. I mean, obviously, we don't want anybody to lose their jobs because of AI or anything like that. And I know that that's obviously a big worry for some people. But I think that the upside is that, if it can do things like the graphic labeler that you guys were talking about earlier, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. Like if we can, because, we've been fighting the fight to get developers and to embrace accessibility, but it's never really. I mean, I don't want to say it hasn't gotten any traction because obviously it has and it's improved, but getting to 100% just is never going to happen. But with something like AI, where you have the tools that are able to turn something that it was historically inaccessible accessible all of a sudden, and it's the tool that's doing that. That's a bit of a game changer, and I think it can really move the ball forward in terms of all out accessibility, especially digital accessibility.
I
Absolutely.
totally agree.
And that's another thing to think about too with AI. And, this is something that we are addressing in training. We're getting ready to launch a lot of training on AI. We get a lot of requests for it and we use it ourselves. Is just all of the ways that it gives us access to very visual elements, things like, describing pictures, like our Picture Smart AI, information about graphs, information, about PowerPoint slides, things that are shared on the screen, for example, during a Zoom meeting. So, and then just being able to, for example, create a graph if you need to, something that you're
Yeah.
going to present in a meeting, just like everybody else. It just really does level that playing field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a tool. In our community, I think the best way to avoid having any like employment displacement is to see AI as a tool, not be afraid of it, and just embrace it for your own productivity, which, like Liz said, we've definitely done. I use it every day,
Every day.
most of the day, like just to do little things, whether it be, editing an email, trying to explain like a complex set of instructions to someone that I may need to tone it down. um, Whether it be, scraping a large amount of information for
Oh,
specifics, we use it all the time.
Yeah, pulling the main points out of, for example, long files, really long files where you have a lot of information, just pulling those main parts out and it helps you reorganize. There's just a lot of uses for
oh
it.
yeah.
So I think it, like Rachel said, just a matter of using the tool and learning how that tool can be useful to you. What can you do with it?
Because it cuts down on jobs that would have taken a lot more time.
And it makes access to information so much easier, which is a big deal. And especially when we're talking about something like JAWS, where, it can be very complicated and there's a lot of information in there. And, especially when it comes to training and stuff. And so the ability to be able to pull stuff out as needed is just going to be invaluable to people.
It's not
Absolutely.
complicated, it's mature.
Oh, sorry, mature. You keep using the C word.
Yeah, I had something cross my field of view last night, actually. Saw a message from Humanware talking about their heading to Site City and mentioned that there was going to be a preview of JAWS working with the Monarch multi-line braille display.
Mhm.
What's the future of multi-line braille with JAWS?
As far as multi-line braille goes, this is something that is going to change the way we interact with braille displays, and we are definitely a part of that, and we're very excited about what multi-line braille, how we can incorporate that, or how we are incorporating that into our product. Positives.
I've always been curious too. I was always curious about what made them choose the name. Is that something that goes around Vispero? Like, is that like an old tale that circulates in the lunchroom? Can you share that with us?
Okay, so there was a flipper screen reader that was pretty popular with DOS in 1987. And basically, Ted Hinter and Glenn were going to do some training for a really popular dispatcher who was blind and took all of his notes in Braille. And they needed to go do this training just because they were transitioning to this new thing called computers. And so this guy was going to lose his job if they didn't get this training down. And Ted loved the name Jaws. He was like, yeah, Jaws eats Flipper, so let's go with that. And but nobody liked it. Everyone was like, no, no, not a great idea. That's not gonna work. And then he just kept swirling around his mind, kept swirling his mind. He loved this idea of Jaws just dominating. And of course, then we didn't know that we were gonna be as big as we are now in people's lives. And so eventually he just told everyone, yeah, it stands for job access with speech so that he could basically get his way. And that's the origin of the story of the name
And
Jaws.
I love it. I love
just to
it.
kind of add a little bit to that too, in 1995, Glenn Gordon knew that there had to be something for Windows because we were losing, access. And so that is where JAWS for Windows came about, and that's what we're actually celebrating the 30th anniversary
Hmm.
of is JAWS for Windows as well. So
I remember way back when Windows was coming out and these graphical interfaces were coming out, and I remember the debates that went on about whether it would ever be accessible. It's like, oh no, no, this is an entirely visual interface. There's no way we can possibly make this accessible. And then, guys like Ted and others just pounded through the problem and figured it out. But yeah, back then. There was even questions about whether it was feasible at all.
and I'll date myself here. Um, just being a DOS user and navigating and seeing everybody using Windows, everyone around me using Windows, I had that same concern. And I remember those debates and I remember talking to people about it and just thinking, wow, I wish I could access all of these things other people are accessing it. And we just felt like we were on the cusp of something amazing. It just hadn't happened yet. And then, with JAWS for Windows, it did. And so, yeah, it really was definitely something to remember. And it was a game changer.
And so were the blue screen to death JAWS related or Windows related? Let's start that debate.
Little from column A, little from column B.
Well, we
There you
do
go.
know that, well, I can't say for sure we know, but I think back then trying to hack into Windows, no matter what screen reader you were trying to use,
Right.
you didn't really have the accessibility or the access that Microsoft and others provide now, right? There wasn't really
Right.
that, yeah, we'll work with you, here's some code. We have a lot better relationship today than we did 30
Right.
years ago.
Because
Exactly.
at that time, the guys who made Jaws were just, kind of a startup almost, just a
Hmm.
few guys in a garage or whatever, trying to get a company together.
Yeah.
And so they weren't communicating like we do now. We work really closely with Microsoft and Google. But at that time, definitely not.
Say Google, Rob.
No. Please.
Say Google Glasses, Rob.
No.
Say it very
Google
slowly.
Google glasses are dead.
Google.
Ooh, look at you go.
Google.
Oh, Google.
I have something else that I want to share about Insert J Club.
Mhm.
So we have launched a forum as a part of celebrating Global Accessibility Awareness Day. We really want to know people's stories of how JAWS has impacted their life. And so there is a link to this forum, and it's not just for Insert J Club members. We launched it initially and shared it with Insert J Club members first, but it's just a place where you can go and share your story. And if you're willing, you obviously give permission if while you're filling out the form, there's a box to check it. We'd love to be able to share those stories because we know that JAWS does impact people's lives in many different ways. And we want to share that with the larger community. And so learning it could be something where you could inspire a lot of people who maybe are just losing vision or have recently lost vision.
And speaking of community, and I know you touched on this, Rachel, when you were talking about why we, created Insert J Club, but one of the things that we've really noticed in the events that we've had so far, we've had two live events. We had the Q&A and we had that introductory webinar, is people talked about the community and how it really gives them a sense of community to be able to reach out to other people and their learning journey, of being able to ask others, what's this keyboard command, or is JAWS, how do I use JAWS with this particular application? And what we've noticed is during the Q&A that we had, there was a lot of chatting going on and just a lot of sharing information. And so people are really wanting to share information and help each other. And that really embodies what the Insert J Club is all about.
I was learning stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, we all learned
Um,
something that day.
yeah, people were just answering each other's questions and
Yeah.
throwing out different keyboard commands that, oldies but goodies kind of deal. It was really good.
Yeah, and we're taking all those questions and answers and we're sending those in a document to all of the Insert J Club members each month. And so after each Q&A, that's another piece of content that they're going to get by being a member.
Yep. And so if you missed it, don't sweat it. You can just read through the questions or look through the headings list and read each question, see what you want to hear more about, and then check out all the questions that were asked.
Is there still JFW email lists or Reddit pages, or has Freedom Scientific, thought about kind of reviving a community forum where people can pose their questions to each
You
other?
know, there's a great Facebook group. It's very active. It's not hosted by us, but it's a great active group where people ask questions a lot. There's a lot of questions, several questions coming in and out of that every day. And I don't know if the email list is still active, but we have talked about we are looking for ways to promote engagement, bring people together, and have a place where people can ask questions and provide feedback. So yeah, that's definitely something that we may see in the future in some form.
Yeah, 'cause I think at
Yep.
the end of the day, some of us are going to be okay just chatting with AI all day long. But, some others want that social connection, right? They want to actually talk to a person. So
Yeah.
it'd be nice to be able to offer a community-based place for people to gather.
Right. Just sharing experiences too sometimes I think helps a lot, especially if you're new to a product and you want to know what other people's experiences are, or you just want a lot of information, or you just want to talk to somebody who, has something in common with you. I think that really helps.
I find it really fascinating the community that is built up around JAWS. JAWS is a very unique piece of software. There's not many software packages out there that are 30 years old
Hmm.
and that have really grown alongside all of these different technology. The jump from DOS to Windows, everything from smartphones to AI. There's all of these leaps in general technology that JAWS has kind of aged alongside with and reacted to and adapted with, and that long and storied sort of history, I think says a lot about how important it is to the users that use it. How important is community engagement to you guys, and the same, I guess, with training, because I would think that the challenge behind such a huge piece of software is that there are so many components of it, and for a lot of people, they rely on JAWS for just for their day to day, and they could be entering into JAWS at any point in their life because that's how blindness works. So you could have somebody who's 45 who's has to learn JAWS immediately for the first time in order to do his job or whatever. So I guess my question is, yeah, how important is training and how important is engaging with the community?
Well, I always tell people JAWS is mature, not complex, just because, it's a software, like you said, that's evolved over time. It's grown a lot, and we have created different things within JAWS to meet different needs over time and tried to make our users as productive and as employable as possible. But one of the other things you're talking to before I get to the main question is one of the challenges when we create training is really trying to make it for everyone. So you might be a 5-year-old with your TBI trying to learn something, or you could be in your 80s or anywhere in between, just trying to figure out how to do the same task. So that is quite a challenge. I think it's one that we've grown to enjoy, but it's definitely something we have to take into consideration every time we make a piece of training. As to the specifics of how important community is for our training, it's vital. And it's no different than anyone. How important are your podcast listeners? I think would be a good comparison. That without our users, we don't
Right.
exist and there's no need for us. So that is one piece of it, but also in order to make everyone in our community stronger, we all know that, there have been employment disadvantages with our community, and this actually, when our community is strong, rising tides raise all ships. And so every time someone learns to use JAWS and gets employed, they're influencing and inspiring another person who may be blind or low vision to do the same, in my mind. Maybe Liz has a different answer.
No, I agree. I agree completely. And I think just the feedback from the community, the engagement with one another is essential for them and for us, and just the feedback that we get about what people want to know. We get emails all the time about how people are using our software, and they'll ask very specific, for example, very specific employment question. I'm using this application and I'm performing this task, or something of that nature. And it could be an application we've heard of and we use every day ourselves, or it could be something we've never heard of. But everyone uses the product in a different way. And so, like Rachel said, when it comes to training, that's something that we have to think about. And it's interesting to compile those emails and go back and look at them when we're preparing for example, a webinar, and just think of the many ways that people could use our software. And that's where we've really started doing a lot of scenario-based training, because I think when you show people, we can tell them all day long how something works, but when you show them how they can apply it, I think that's the most powerful part of training.
Do you find it difficult, though, to put together training for a product like Windows when there's multiple ways to do a task?
That's an interesting question. So I wouldn't say difficult, maybe challenging at times, but we like challenges. So we love challenges. What I think is interesting is, we always tell people just that. There might be 3 or 4 ways to perform a certain task, but we sometimes go with the way that's, we'll show them the way that's easiest. Maybe there's a keyboard command for doing it instead of going through a bunch of menus or something. But really what it's all about is teaching the concept, and then people can find their own way of doing it. And we might teach one way and then someone in the chat says, oh, hey, I do it this way. And that's fine. Everyone has a personal preference, and I think it's good to know as many ways as you can if that works for you. So
Right.
What did we miss anything in terms of what you guys are doing for? You mean you guys getting a cake? Like, what are we talking about? It's just a big deal. This is the 30th anniversary.
sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, we've got events planned every single month, multiples. We're going to be doing a podcast series that's all about the timeless JAWS tools, maybe that we don't talk about as much now. Like,
Hmm.
I think the first one is the origins of QuickNav, which everyone knows by um, probably the function rather than the name of it, but basically, the shortcut keys where you browse the web by pressing H, etc., to go to headings. And so we're going to be doing a timeless tools series on the podcast just because we can't fit any more live events in 1 month. And we're going to be continuing to do the live events for Insert J Club. And then every year, this will be our 3rd annual Next Big Thing and Sharkversary events. So in the fall, our last quarter is going to be very much 30th anniversary themed. And so our next Sharkversary, which is the way we celebrate November at Vispero, and as a part of that, we've been doing the Next Big Thing contest. So you get a $1,000 Amazon gift card for winning that feature contest. And we're just going to be doing a ton more events. Our blog is the best place to keep track of that. Just a couple posts a week, but it'll definitely keep people up to date on all of the events going forward for the 30th anniversary. At the end of the year, we're going to have a big celebration, and we're going to do several face-to-face meetups during the convention. So if you're able to get to Dallas or New Orleans this summer, would love to get to meet up with you all face to face and do some hanging out with the Insert J Club members in person. So that's also some different things we're going to do. Liz, anything else?
We should probably talk about how to join the Insert J Club.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to freedomscientific.com/insertjclub, that's INSERTJ club, you'll find all the information on the page about the club and what it is and the benefits. And we're going to be adding more information there very soon. And then you can fill out the form to join. And it's really easy. It just takes a few minutes. If you have any questions or you would like to join, you need some assistance, send us an email. You can send an email to which address, Rachel? The Insert J Club or training?
InsertJClub@vispero.com, or you could use training@vispero.com. We're both checking those fairly regularly, so either one you'll get your questions answered. And all of this is free. All of our training's free. This doesn't change anything about that. It's free to join the club, and it's not required to get our free training content in any way, shape, or form. This is an extra way if you're interested in more opportunities as far as above and beyond what we've already done in the past. This is just going to provide additional opportunities. You might get early access to some things, and as well, you may get a little peek behind the scenes on some aspects.
And if you're wondering why we called it Insert J Club, it's named after that keyboard command that you use when you press Insert J, and it takes you right back to the JAWS window from anywhere, or no matter what application you're in. So we get a lot of questions about that too. So I just wanted to mention that.
My little inside joke.
Yeah.
Or for those of you using a laptop keyboard layout, caps J.
Yeah, actually it is Control Shift Caps Lock J.
Don't mess with them, Ryan. They know.
Yeah.
He's finally met his match.
Just not to confuse anyone any further. So.
Well, listen, 30 years. Congratulations. We're really excited to see where things go. And please come back anytime that you have any sort of announcement, or if you want to just come and chat. We'd love to. I'd love to have you.
We
Absolutely.
appreciate you
Thank
having
you.
us so much.
Yeah, maybe
was
we'll
fun.
aim to have you back on November if you can squeeze us in. We'll talk about what's going on with
September.
the new release
Do
and
that.
so
Let's
on.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, deal.
All right.
All right.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, guys. Well,
All right. Thank you.
and,
Thank you very much.
both.
We'll talk again soon. Talk to you in Sharkvember.
All right.
right.
Sounds great. Looking
All
forward to it.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. You know what I thought while we were talking to them? Again, this is probably the cold medicated brain at work. While you were talking to them about technical aspects, Ryan, all my mind was going is like, they need a cartoon shark mascot named Chompy.
Chompy.
Why has this not happened yet? They've had 30 years to build out a cute shark mascot, and
Well, they do have a shark
fin,
mascot.
Right? The fin.
Yeah, they do have a shark mascot.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, Sharky.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sharky.
Yeah, I haven't seen him lately. Is that his name, Sharky?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
See, Chompy would have been better.
Yeah, I think he used to be in like a shark suit at conferences, and they used to have the little
Okay,
rubber,
all right.
the little rubber jaw sharks.
That's
and-
right. Okay, yeah, you're right. I remember getting the swag. In fact, one of my favorite pieces of swag that I ever got when
The shark cookie jar?
was the shark cookie jar
Yep.
that said Cookie Jaws. I love
That's
that
right.
thing. So it's right. I'm looking at it right now on my counter. It's survived many moves. But yeah, that's right. I forgot about the. They did kind of have like a bit of a cartoon shark as part of their logo, right? For a while in the 20-aughts.
Yeah, I think there's a shark fin in a pool of water or something, isn't there? That was their logo.
Yeah, now it's very it's very elegant now. But
Yeah.
they used to have that as part of the logo. I remember that. But very cool, very cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. 30 years. Look at that.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey Ryan,
Yeah, Rob.
where can people find us?
They can find us at atbanter.com.
They can also see my brain just was like whoa. But they can also drop us an email if they so desire at cowbell@atbanter.com.
And if you want, you can reach out on social media too. We're going to ignore you, but hey, why not?
Well, I think that's going to about do it for us this week. Big thanks, of course, to Rachel and Elizabeth for joining us. And we will see everybody next week.
This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions, as well as physical access solutions and augmentative communication aids across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com, or if you're in the Vancouver Lower Mainland, visit our storefront at number 106 828 West 8th Avenue in Vancouver. That's one block off Broadway at Willow. You can reach us by phone toll-free at 1-844-795-8324 or by email at sales@canastech.com.